Uh, my name's Tommy Milner. I drive for Corvette Racing used to race in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. This year, racing in the World Endurance Championship. Been racing cars since I was about 18 years old, but have been sim racing a little bit longer than that. My first real sort of sim experience was about 1999, something like that, with the game called Sports Car GT. So I've always been interested in sim racing, have been sim racing for a long time. The real life stuff for a little while kind of took over, but over the last sort of 2 or 3 years here now, I've had a renewed interest in sim racing again and done a lot more of it. Driving a race car is a very, in many ways, physical exercise, but it's also very mental as well. And when I'm driving the race car, I'm trying to understand what the car is doing, trying to use all the little bit of feedback the car is giving me to understand what's happening with the car, from just purely a pace perspective, trying to find more pace out of the car, but also, bumps and curb strikes and all those different things. All of those pieces of information that I'm getting from the car, I'm using that to analyze what's happening with the car and then making adjustments for that for the rest of the lap and for the rest of the race. Yeah, I mean, I found over the years, when I started out sim racing, there's parts of driving a race car and driving a car that you're able to explore without doing it in real life, which can be obviously very expensive, both just driving the car, having the equipment to drive the car, running track days, potentially crashing the car, all those different things. Sim racing is a great way to get an introduction to car control and racecraft and things like that. Then as time goes on, as you get used to what it's like to drive a car at the limit, what it's like to drive different racetracks, then as you go along, you can, really improve, like I said, racecraft, improve your lap times, improve your accident avoidance ability, improve, driving cars at the limit, over the limit. And then as you blend into the real life world and racing in real life, I find it's helpful for me before races to just drive these different tracks that I'll be racing at, to kind of get my head in the rhythm of what the rhythm of the racetrack is like. I can do some races online. I can kind of get into the mode of, what it's like to be wheel to wheel again with other people. I find it's a great sort of precursor to going to the racetrack and getting yourself already familiar with what to expect on the racetrack. Yeah, so I've heard of ButtKicker over the years. I knew what it was and what it was trying to do. I never really used it, I don't think, until the last maybe 2 or 3 months here. And the trick with sim racing, of course, is trying to immerse yourself in the experience of driving these simulated race cars on a let's say a fake racetrack, so to speak. And we spend, as sim racers, we spend a lot of money on very expensive wheels and hardware and all kinds of different stuff that you would use to try to better replicate what is happening, or what would be happening in real life and what's happening in the sim. And my first impression with the ButtKicker when I first used it was a piece of information that I was missing that I would normally get in real life, to in some ways sort of help, let's say, trick my mind into thinking that I am in fact driving a real life race car. I just recently it was turned off for a little bit. I didn't know what was happening, but I realized driving around on the sim that I was missing something, and it was because I didn't have the ButtKicker turned on. Turned it back on again, and again, it's not a wheel and pedals is a necessary piece of hardware. ButtKicker, again, I wouldn't say is necessary, but it's another very important part of immersing yourself in sim racing. The best part of having the ButtKicker realistically is that added immersion. I in real life, when I'm driving the race cars, at times I'm not always looking at shift lights. I'm not always staring at curbs on the racetrack. And I use those physical cues that I get in real life through the seat of the pants feel. As the engine RPMs are increasing, accelerating, there's certain frequency that you sort of get used to, just almost a muscle memory, that that it's time to shift. And with the ButtKicker, you get those cues. You get those cues of hitting bumps, harder or less than you had on the lap previous. You get used to the frequency of the RPM that is translated through the seat. And again, it's just another piece of information that without the ButtKicker you don't have. And when you have it, you get another piece of information you can use while you're driving to improve lap times, improve consistency, just improve the experience of driving the car. The HaptiConnect software, from using it, makes fine-tuning your experience with the ButtKicker much easier. Some very easy sliders to pick from to increase or decrease the sensitivity or the feeling of certain parts of what the ButtKicker can translate to you. So as you drive around, like anything with sim racing, some people like a brake bias a certain way or a certain kind of car balance. It's no different with the ButtKicker. You can fine tune how you want it to feel and the information that you want it to give you the experience that you're looking for. But it's made it very easy for me to get it set up, to get it running, to getting it. I mean, within 10 minutes of driving on the sim, I was able to quickly change parts of it. The information that I didn't want, I was able to turn that off. Information that I really thought was very helpful, I could increase that. And then, so like I said, after about 10 minutes, I had all the sliders generally kind of where I wanted it. And then, since then, over the last 2 or 3 months that I've used it, I've maybe touched it once or twice just for certain cars, I wanted a little bit more RPM. So beyond that, it just sort of runs in the background, and it's sort of it can be a set and forget kind of thing. You get it where you want it. And then as long as it's running, then it doesn't, lose track of where you were. And if you do want to change something quickly, it's right there. It's easy to change.